Welcome to It's Pod O'Clock, episode 0, Matchweek 0, whatever way you want to call it. And welcome to a new podcast, the newest podcast on this channel. Of course, in the past, if you've been watching long enough, you would have had the Harry and Daily show with Daily Perales back in, 2023. But here we are with a new podcast, new setting, new background. It's the same background if you've watched the watch-alongs and all the videos and all that sort of stuff, but I digress. It's a new show. It's a new show. And you guys, I'm hoping, will be along for the ride. We've got a lot to cover in this first episode. I'm going to aim for around 45 minutes per episode, but rest assured, there will be longer episodes in future because what is to come is quite a few things, and you guys will have quite a bit to say on the matter over the coming weeks. Obviously, with this being match week based, this is match week 0. We've got match week 1 next Monday, and with that will come weekly discussions in depth on previous match weeks. I can't speak too much on what's to come. We've still got today, on the day of recording, this is the day that we play against AC Milan. And we'll also get to see Crystal Palace take on Liverpool in the Community Shield. So we'll get a bit of a feel for us. Obviously, hopefully, I'm hoping to see Chelsea put out a bit more of a stronger side that we can expect to see against Crystal Palace in our first game. But we get to see Crystal Palace play against Liverpool. So we'll get to see a little bit more about what they're putting out, what the situation is with Eze, and so on and so forth with that. But regarding the show and where we want to go, where we want to take this in the future, one of the main aspects of this show, and I know some of you might want this to just be a one-on-one, me to you, and whether or not you're watching this, if you're listening to this on Spotify, hopefully I've figured out how to get it onto Spotify, and I really am intrigued to get that on there. Special guests is something that I want to really sort of not focus on and make that too much of the thing, but I want to get more people's opinions on what's happened over the previous week, whatever that may be. I've got one in particular that's already penciled in, not penned in, but penciled in. You know him very well, some of you, not all of you, but some of you like him, some of you don't like him. The same goes to me. Some of you like me, some of you don't like me. But, you know, it's the way it goes. He's coming to America. He's coming from America. He's coming to the UK soon. But scheduling permitting, he has sort of given me the nod that he will be coming on the show in person as well. You can see there's plenty of room here for at least 2 people, or 1 person and his dog. Rufus might be making an appearance at some point in the future. Not today. We've got plenty to discuss, plenty to get through before any 4-legged friends do come on to the show. But with that, with special guests, I want you, the viewer, to give me suggestions on who you would like to see, other Chelsea content creators, ideally. But with this not necessarily being a Chelsea-centric show, it's Pod O'Clock. It's not necessarily my intention to make this, excuse all the Chelsea paraphernalia on show here, but obviously it's going to have some sort of nod to Chelsea. It's going to have some sort of focus on Chelsea at times, but we do want to cover the match week surrounding everyone. We're going to go through some Premier League predictions for the table as well in just a second, but lastly, on the sort of like format, what's to come, what you can expect on this show is interactivity with the viewers as well. I want to make this as big as an experience for you guys as it is for me, and have you guys included as much as possible. So we've got FPL coming up on this channel as well on the pod, and special guests. We're going to have quizzes. We're going to have all sorts. I also want to hear what you guys have to say. So when special guests do come on, I want to allow you, the viewers, to have your say. Ask your questions to that specific viewer. So on the community page, on Twitter, at HarryCFXI, Instagram, I'll post a question or a post where you can ask questions to the upcoming viewer. You've seen it before with other podcasts. I'm not trying to make this seem like it's some sort of brand new idea. I just want one for myself. I want somewhere. Ideally, I want this to be a place where I can sort of natter, have a sort of whinge, a moan, just a waffle, a ramble, whatever adjective you want to use. If that is an adjective, I think it might be an adjective. It's been a while since I was at school. But no, I want this to be a place where you guys are so sort of involved. If you want to be, you don't have to be. You could be a lurker. You could be someone who's listening and just, doing your thing. But those of you that want to get involved, you will get involved because I will make it as such. Questions on the screen, questions to the special guests. FPL. We'll go through the league rankings for the FPL as well, so that and you can have your 1 week of glory. If you are at the top for that 1 week, you can have your moment of glory as opposed to just the winner at the end. Of which, lastly, on the show, more to come, more in time, as the show evolves, as the show becomes what it intends to be, when the show becomes what I want it to be and what you guys want it to be. Naturally, it's just going to become a bit more relaxed, a little bit more easy to listen to, and I like to think that I'm someone who is. I mean, it's already been like 7 or so minutes. I feel like I've been talking for 2 minutes. I'm a waffler. I'm a rambler. You guys know this. If you've been watching long enough or listening now long enough, you will know that time will fly. Time will absolutely fly. With that said, before we continue any further, please do like the video, subscribe, follow on Spotify if you haven't done so already. If we are on Spotify, I'm not sure that this has made it that far. I'm hoping this doesn't cut out again, because unfortunately this is not the first time I've recorded this. There were some technical difficulties, but I am trying my best to get through these trying matters and bring you the best goddamn podcast you've ever seen when it comes to Chelsea. And anyway, football is obviously a big thing for people, but also FPL is a big thing as well. I personally am not someone who has ever stayed loyal, stayed continuous, stayed, I don't know the word, consistent, I would say is the word, consistent with Fantasy Premier League. But I know there are plenty of you that are watching today that are eager FPL merchants, I would say. Some of you take it way too seriously, and that's fine, I guess. It's not for me, but I'm saying now we do have an FPL on the channel. Not just on the podcast, but on the channel as a whole. It helps a great deal if you watch and listen to this, I would suggest, so that because with this FPL, we're going to go through my team, what our special guests are going to have as their team as well, I guess, and what tweaks they've made. And we might actually get some FPL specialists on at some point to give me some tips, some advice on what I can do to better my squad. And in turn, you guys will have some advice yourself. But without further ado, I'm displaying the code hopefully somewhere. So join the league. And I hope to see some absolutely outrageous names. Let's not go crazy now. I think mine last year was Reese's hamstring. Might need to change that to Colwell's ACL, because either way, I'm going to be performing badly, I would suggest. Again, my experience with FPL, it's been around for a long time, even before. I've been doing this for 5 years. I think this is my 6th year now, doing content, and it's been a slow grind. It's been a very, very slow grind, but a continuously improving grind. We've got some big news. I can't say what it is just yet, because that's still in the works. But obviously, this was one big bit of news for this channel. But then there's something else as well. But hopefully, those involved in that as well will be involved in this to some degree as well, hopefully in the future. But my experience with FPL is, as I said, it's something that I've never been able to stay consistent with. It's something that I've never been able to stay true to, and I always lose interest purely because, and typically because, I just haven't been consistent, but also very good at it. I like to think that I've got an eye for putting a team together, but I mean, don't we all? With the FPL, I will figure out a way to give a prize to the winner, whatever that may be. I'll like I say, I'll try and figure it out one way or another. Maybe some suggestions in the comments as to what a suitable prize would be. So let me know in the comments regarding that. Again, we'll be discussing FPL in depth once the season starts, because as of right now, there really isn't too much to. I mean, you can't have Cole in your team. You could, but it wouldn't bode well for your team. Let's put it that way. And so it's more of like we can't talk about last week's match because it's match week 0. Nothing's happened yet. We can go into detail about the game against Bayer Leverkusen, but again, it's not really relevant because it's a friendly. We can, and I've already done a video on it as well. So, but you get what I'm trying to say. And lastly, we've already touched on this a little bit, but discussing FPL with guests, with if we can get an expert on, if we can get any of the special guests on to discuss their FPL. Hopefully, they've got something going on. Most people do FPL to some degree, so we'll see how it goes. Without further ado, it's that time to predict the Premier League table, and I'll be honest, I think it's going to be a lot more of a typical season. I think it's going to be a lot more of a typical season than last season. That's for sure. Last season was a season in which you really couldn't see what was going on. You couldn't predict what was going on. Chelsea's still managing to finish in the top 4 was not on many people's sort of bingo cards. It wasn't something that everyone sort of predicted or would have seen coming, especially how we've been over the last few years. But indicative to that is you look at the progression that was made throughout the season. And we'll get into Chelsea's predictions, or my Chelsea predictions for the season, in a bit more detail at the end of the video, or at the end of the podcast, I should say. But yeah, I mean, Chelsea is just a key example. Chelsea, you can't predict that that's what was going to happen. It's just no one saw it coming. But the same goes for City. City obviously ending up in 3rd. Despite the fact that they started poorly, they were throughout the season poor, but right at the depth, right at the end, figured out how to get it done, just like Chelsea did. But although ours took to the last day, I think theirs did as well. But that's besides the point. Again, Nottingham Forest wasn't someone that people saw performing the way that they did. I predicted that they would fall off quite a while ago, even when they were still at their peak, even when they were still performing really, really well. I was very vocal about the fact that I just knew. And I think a lot of people, I'm not trying to make out like I'm some, magician or fortune teller, but I think there were times that you could see cracks in the way that it was going for them. And if you watched, I do obviously top 4 watch. We do like the watch alongs for games that don't include Chelsea. And the more we were watching Forest, the more it was becoming apparent to me and to you that were watching with me, little niggles, little cracks were starting to show for Nottingham Forest. And I think it just became very obvious that the wheels were going to eventually fall off. And now we've got to the summer, after the fact, and their owner's going nuts. He was going nuts during the season, but it's just all going wrong, I think. And you will notice in my prediction for that, I don't quite know exactly where I'm planning on putting them, but I do like to think that I have an idea. Premier League table. I should have had this ready to go, but Premier League table predictor 25-26 season. Hopefully there's a website. The Premier League has it. I don't think it does. Log into view. Brilliant. We'll just go through the table. The beauty I find with doing these podcasts is that obviously I will cut out some of the dead space, but for the most part, if I'm like struggling to find something, I'm not going to make you sit through it. Don't worry. But we've got some idea. I think we'll start from the bottom and we'll work our way up to the top. I don't just want to say the same as everyone else when it comes to the bottom three, but you would be remiss if you didn't predict that the bottom three were going to be the three that got promoted. Sunderland, Leeds, Burnley. In that order, I'm not so sure. Sunderland have been spending money like a madman. I think, is it 200? Have they spent 200 million? I think someone said in the watch along against Bayer Leverkusen that Sunderland have spent 200 million. Don't quote me on that, but I know they've signed Xhaka. I don't know who else they've signed. I'll be honest with you. I haven't been keeping tabs on other teams as that much. We've had a lot to do. We've had a lot to cover of our own when it comes to Chelsea. As you guys know very well, we haven't had much time to cover anyone else besides Chelsea. Between all the signings that we've had, all the departures that we've had, it's been a busy summer to say the least. And with this now, I've got so much to do. But I am going to say, I think Burnley come bottom. I think Burnley 20th. I'll go Leeds 19th. And I'm going to go Wolves. I'm going to go Wolves in 18th. And I know that might... I think they've been tickling the nutsack of relegation for quite some time now. Much like West Ham, much like Everton. So for that, I don't know. I feel like Everton might have a bit of a better season, but I'm going to go. I need to write this down, actually. I'm going to go Newcastle. I'm going to go. Did I go Leeds bottom? I'm going to go Burnley. I probably completely changed what I've said now that I'm having to write this down. But Burnley, and I'm going to go Wolves. I think this is the time for Wolves. I think that they've escaped it quite a few times now. I just need to check the Premier League table for last season because I need to refresh my mind as to where they came. Yeah, they were so close, and I think. If it wasn't for the fact, and people can say, well, if my granny had wheels, she'd be a trolley. I know what you're saying, but we need to factor in the case that Tottenham, United both had diabolically bad seasons, did they not? We can agree. I don't think it's going to be the case again, realistically. We'll just have to wait and see. I think Manchester United, if anything, are going to be the worst out of the two. I don't know. Their front three's looking a little bit better this season. It's looking a little bit better. Tottenham have been signing people left, right and centre. So I just think that Tottenham will be all right this season. But we'll get to that in just a second. So the bottom three we've got sorted. I do think that Sunderland are going to be quite close. But I actually think West Ham are going to come 17th. I'm then going to go Sunderland in 16th. Counting backwards is more difficult than you would think. And then just looking at the table, do you know who I'm going to go? Do you know who I'm going to go? It's who I was talking about earlier on in this segment. I'm going to go Forest. You know, I'm going to go Forest. I just think there's a lot of negativity around them, and let's have a little chat about it whilst I rearrange. Nottingham Forest. What have you done? What have you done? I am someone who, you know, I'm opinionated, as are a lot of people. I look at some teams, like Crystal Palace for me are probably my, like, I don't have a second team. I just don't. It's not in my nature. It's not in my DNA. I wasn't brought up that way to be like, oh, yeah, go on, you can have a second team. Growing up, I think I had an affinity to Liverpool at one point because I really liked Michael Owen. But that quickly got, nipped in the bud because my dad was just not having it. I didn't like Liverpool, the team. I liked Michael Owen, the player. I was a young, full of energy, aspiring striker, on Sunday League, 6 years old, going into the Sunday League situation. I had Hasselbank, I had Idaker Johnson, I had Zola to have looked at throughout my career at that point, of which there was no career. But Michael Owen obviously came onto the scene quite hot. I forget what the point is I'm trying to make. Oh, neutral teams that I don't like or dislike, but teams in particular that I have like more of a like than a dislike. Do you know what I mean? Like Arsenal, I would say I detest. I hate. Tottenham, I hate. Man City, I don't care for them, but I don't like them. So I wouldn't say I'm a neutral in that regard. I want them to lose. Liverpool, again, the same. It's all that sort of situation. And then you get down the further in the league and you look at like Crystal Palace, for me, is my local team in, geographically speaking. Crystal Palace are the team that I would, if given geography, would be the team that I would be sort of made to support. Growing up near Croydon, all that sort of stuff, it is Crystal Palace. But, my dad's input, my dad's influence, much like everyone else, he grew up very close to Stamford Bridge in that part of London, and has obviously relocated to where I grew up. And as such brought his Chelsea with him, and here we are today. Well, the point is I'm trying to make, Nottingham Forest was a team that a lot of people, especially last season, were looking at thinking, go on Forest, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? It's a situation that we don't find ourselves in too often. Leicester City, I don't know, Blackburn back in the day, they won the Premier League in with Shearer, and they had a good team. It's not quite the same situation, but in more recent history, it is Leicester. I guess Brighton at one point or another. Wolves have had a bit of a purple patch at one point, but Nottingham Forest were punching. They were doing well. They were doing really well, and I think everyone was behind them, including Chelsea fans at one point, I would say, because we didn't see ourselves as people challenging, a team challenging for a Champions League spot. And we thought, well, if Forest are going to go for it, why not? Go for it. And then the wheels started to fall off. The owner was a bit of a numpty, is still a bit of a numpty, You look at the memes with the Gibbs White situation, you think like, oh, there's something smelly about that. There's something smelly, and him down like, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. thank you so much for this opportunity. Oh, and he's standing right there like, he's like, go on, say it, say it. I can't imagine Gibbs White. He must have felt like a right idiot in that situation. But with that said, I'm going Nottingham Forest to finish quite low for that reason. So we've got 1 to 20th, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15th. So we're up to 14th. But I hope you agree. Forest were a team that the majority of people loved or adored or liked, had an affinity to, because they weren't a team that would necessarily be a team that's challenging for that sort of level in the Premier League. But now, with all the stuff going on with Crystal Palace as well, them being snitchy, grassing them up, all that, the owner, the situation with Gibbs White, it just stinks, doesn't it? It just stinks to high heaven. And quite honestly, they've lost a fan out of me. They've lost a neutral fan out of me, I must say. I'm sure they're devastated. I'm sure they're absolutely devastated. Here now, I think we can start to fill out a little bit of the bulk. Have I put West Ham yet? I have. They're in 17th. I'm gonna go Brentford. They've just lost Mbeumo. Big player for them. I think they'll fall down a little bit. It's hard. It is hard. I think it's harder to predict the bottom 10 than the top 10, because it seems a little harsh, It seems a little bit harsh to be predicting that you're going to be doing so badly, Up next, and I don't think Crystal Palace fans would disagree with me on this, my barber. Lovely job he's done here, I must say, as usual. Big up. I was talking to him yesterday, and I was saying, whether or not it's Conference League or Europa League for Crystal Palace, I just feel as though they're going to fall off a little bit Premier League-wise, because the focus is so heavily on European football. The situation with Forest, it's not great. It's actually quite uncalled for, I would say. You're a bit of a beg, Forest, I must be honest with you. And I think everyone else agrees. We've gone into some detail. But Crystal Palace, 20th, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. It's around the place that Crystal Palace usually finish in 12th. So a point down, a position down than their usual meme-worthy 12th, I would suggest isn't necessarily too much to disagree with. Bournemouth next. I'm going to go. I'm realising I haven't got Everton in, but I will say I think they'll probably come in the next place, I'm going to say. So that's 13th. 12th is Bournemouth. They've lost Joyce-in, and I'm assuming a couple of other players. Again, I'm not really been paying attention to Bournemouth too much, but I do think that is a reasonable place to put them. 12th place for Bournemouth. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. Up next, Everton. I think they're going to have a better season this season. It's been on the fritz. It's been, a bit up and down for Crystal Palace, for Everton lately. But I do think with the new stadium, I do think that they are going to have a little bit more behind them this season. And I don't know. I just think it's going to be a good season for them in that regard. It's not going to be anything amazing. But that is my top 11, or my bottom 11, sorry, not my top 11. So to recap, Leeds, 20th. Burnley, 19th. Wolves, 18th. West Ham, 17th. Sunderland in 16th. Forest in 15th. Brentford in 14th. Palace in 13th. Bournemouth in 12th, and then Everton in 11th. I don't think that is too bad, to be honest with you, looking at the state of things. Naturally, I think it's going to be difficult to predict that Tottenham or Manchester United finish much, much higher than they finished last season. However, this is what I mean when it comes to predicting the Premier League after a season like last season. You can't It's really hard to rationalize or to sort of come up with anything of any worth without sounding like you're completely delusional or like you're trying to sound knowledgeable. But in reality, no one really knows what's going to happen. So in 10th place, I'm going to go Brighton. I think that's not too outrageous to suggest. They've got that geezer, I forget his name, but they've got that new midfield. Well, they've got that midfielder who everyone keeps saying is the new Caicedo. I forget his name. I'm not going to waste your time looking it up, but you know who I'm talking about. We then have Fulham. Have I got Fulham? I've not predicted Fulham. Fulham. I'm going to go Fulham in 9th. And then we get into the meat and potatoes. Because in 8th place, I'm going to put oh man, this is tricky. This does get to the point where it is actually quite difficult. Do you know what I'm going to put? I'm going to put Tottenham purely for the reasoning being, I think Man United will finish above them. I do think realistically Manchester United will finish above Tottenham purely because, again, Champions League. Tottenham, not a good side last season, arguably one of the worst, mathematically one of the worst. And, you know, they've now got that, albeit they've signed some players. They've lost Son. You know, that's like a very sudden blow. He's already playing for LAFC. I saw some of the footage of that today. But with the uncertainty, Thomas Frank, you know, new season, first season, it doesn't seem to bode well for new managers at Tottenham. You know, you look at Ange, you look at Nuno, you look at Mourinho. It's just not been great recently, and I don't know if the revolving door is something that they are trying to replicate a little bit of Chelsea. It doesn't seem to be working, although I guess they won the Europa League, so, you know, fucking what do I know when it comes to football. My point being, their focus needs to be on performing in the Champions League. But I don't know, because there's no world in which they actually think they're going to win the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? It's not quite the same situation as Crystal Palace, who find themselves in a European place potentially for the first time in their history, and they need to perform to stay in there because they aren't necessarily going to finish in a European spot or win the FA Cup again. Do you get the dilemma? Whereas with Tottenham, will they be focusing on Champions League or will they be focused on Premier League? Only time will tell. But for me, I'm going to put them in 8th place. Up next, I just think it makes sense to go... I'm going to go Newcastle. Listen... don't roll your eyes at me. I know some of you watching right now, you're thinking, fucking, this is awful. This is dreadful. Newcastle, they've got issues of their own. Isak, he might have gone. By the time this video comes out, or this podcast comes out on Monday, it'll be Monday the 11th, so tomorrow. He might have gone. You never know. My thing is, they've got so many issues at the moment that they have to sort of figure out. I just don't know. I don't think it's going to be a good season for them at all. I mean, it's still good that they're finishing in the top 7, I guess that is. But I just don't see them having a good season. Up next, they had to come at some point. I actually do think that this is probably a bit high for them, but I don't know. I think that United are going to be a bit more of a tricky customer this season. Chelsea have them quite early in the season. I think game 5. So, listen, every match week, we are going to look at the table and compare it to my prediction, so we can have a bit of a realization of just how bad I've been. Or you never know. You never know. We might have a realization of just how fucking knowledgeable at football I am. To which I give you my next, and that is, so we're now into the top 5. We're into the top 5. And I'm going to go Villa in 5th. Mathematically, I'm hoping this makes sense. So we've got, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So top 4 we're in now. Villa, I'm going to go 5th. I just think they're going to keep their heads afloat. And I do think that they are going to better Newcastle. And so compared to last season, they finished 6th. Newcastle finished 5th. I think they're just going to I think they're going to swap around, and it will all make sense. Bet on this, and I promise you, I've got you. I'm a master at this sort of thing. It's the first time I've ever done it. 4th, I'm going to go Arsenal. And not out of the hatred, not due to hatred or agenda or rivalry or anything like that. I just think Arsenal are going to have a stinker this season. They might end up winning it. But we say this every year. Don't we? We always say, this could be Arsenal's year. But I think we say that out of fear more than anything else. Arteta, for me, this is the last season for him. This is it. It's either the beginning of the end, or it is the start of what is to come. And that is, if Arsenal can win this season, I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility that they go through a bit of a dominant stage, finally, after all this time. But for me, it's a lot of pressure on Arteta. And how symbolic, how poetic would it be if in his dying season they finished 4th, which is just where Arsenal were and have always been destined to be. This second place malarkey, it's got to stop. It really does have to stop. So I'm going to go with Arsenal in 4th. I'm going to go Man City in 3rd. And it's a lot of pressure. Chelsea 2nd, Liverpool 1st. I can't in good conscience predict Chelsea are going to win the league. But I just think this is going to be a good season for us. I know we've got to focus on the Champions League ourselves. And I know my argument for Tottenham not doing well in the league because they've got to focus on the Premier League. Palace not doing well in the league because they've got to focus on the Europa League or Conference League. Forest in the same way, but also not, I just, looking at the way things are going, looking at the magic we see at the moment with the likes of Joao Pedro coming in, just picking up really well, hitting the ground running. Palmer and Esteval's link-up play against Bayer Leverkusen again, pinch of salt because it's a friendly. But you look, Arsenal are dropping points. They're losing against to Villarreal, and Madueke's missing penalties and all that sort of stuff. It just seems to be, like going well for Chelsea, winning the Club World Cup. Whatever you say about that, I think it is. It's good. And I'll lean this into the final segment because I don't want to hold you on for too long, but my predictions for Chelsea this coming season, I've already talking about it really. I think in the Premier League we finished 2nd, maybe 3rd. I think it's top 3. I think Jamie Carragher and all the shite that he's been talking is going to light a fire under these kids. Colwill being out is a massive blow. Leadership sort of mentality from him. He's been a big proponent, a big advocate and, in terms of like speaking out against the media in the build up to the Club World Cup final, and him saying that a lot of what you guys had to say is a reason as to why we went on to win against a seemingly unbeatable PSG. I don't think we're going to win the quadruple. I think we could do well in the Champions League. The new format is obviously going to cause some issues, as it has done for a lot of teams, but I just see us doing okay in everything. I think we could get into the final of either the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. Preferably the FA Cup. Premier League in second. Champions League, I would be happy with quarterfinal. I think I would be okay with, and I know some people will be like, "Well, that's not very good." It's like we haven't been in the Champions League for quite some time now, so a quarterfinal finish. You never know. I could sit here and say that we could win the Champions League. I think we could. Looking at the Club World Cup, and again, people are going, it's completely different. It's not. It's really not. The mentality's the same. We beat a big win against PSG, and I think they can use that to spur them on. But yeah, I just think it's going to be a good season. I'm coming into this positive, people, okay? I'm coming into it positive. Don't call me deluded. I know full well that this could go tits up. I know this could go wrong. But I'm just trusting the process, goddammit. I'm just trying to trust in the process. I'm starting to see through the leaves, through the forest, through the shit. I'm just starting to believe now that there is a chance that Chelsea could finally be on the cusp of glory. We've won the big one now. We're the first people to win the Club World Cup. I think it's more than possible that Chelsea can pull something off. I'm not saying we're going to do the double, but I'm not saying we're going to win anything. I just think that we could really showcase to a lot of pundits, to a lot of people that have had so much to say about Chelsea over the years. Don't sign for Chelsea. Stop signing for Chelsea. Chelsea billionaire bottle jobs. This is realistically our moment, our moment to showcase what we've done, what we've been able to do, showcase that our recruitment has improved because it has been shocking over the last few years. And just kind of prove to everyone that just has seemingly forgotten what Chelsea are about, and Chelsea were, and Chelsea are realistically, because even in our worst years, we've still won silverware, which is more than Arsenal can say. This incredible Arsenal side, world beaters of absolutely nothing, might I add. Second best team in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like they've done everything. By the way, if you've watched this whole thing and you're wondering why I'm looking to the side, I've got one video feedback of me there and another one of me there. I've got a timer there and I've got the camera right there. And I don't know. It's I feel like it's all over the place, but we'll figure it out. I think that's a good place to stop. I think this has been a good first episode. I was a little worried that I wouldn't have plenty to say, but, I remembered that this is me and I ramble for a living. So with that said, please do leave a like. I really would appreciate it. Leave a comment. Tell me what you thought. What can be improved? I understand maybe the focus might be a little bit off. We can work on that. That's something that can be fixed. The lighting, I quite like it being not just blue and just a quite bright, happy sort of color. And just give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts on the situation this season, and also give me your thoughts on the podcast as a whole. Will you be watching, or will this be your final one before the season's even started? Again, special guests, Fantasy Premier League, discussions galore, and hopefully in time this just becomes something that is regular viewing, regular listening. If you're watching this on the toilet, if you're watching this on a treadmill, if you're on a plane or whatever, Let me know where it is in the world or in your house, wherever. You know what I'm trying to say. Just let me know where you're watching and if you'll be watching in future. Thank you very much for watching in its entirety if you have done. I understand I do ramble, go off on tangents, but I feel like I reeled in the tangents every time I kind of went off topic. I came back onto it. We'll live and learn. We'll live and learn. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I'm excited for what's to come from this, special guests, all that stuff. But thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Again, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell notification, or follow on Spotify, wherever this is available. My name is Harry. Up the Chels, and peace.